They trust you with everything. Their scraped knees, their big questions, their growing bodies. So when you choose a supplement for your family, you don't compromise. At AzureWell, we put the full truth on the label. Every ingredient, every amount. And we test beyond industry standards to ensure what's listed is what's inside. AzureWell, the standard you hold for your family, reflected back to you. Visit AZURElivingwell.com. These products have not been evaluated by the FDA and are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Don't let your decision paralysis demon keep you from watching something great this weekend. Subscribe to ScreamShare, the newsletter that serves up a 5-minute breakdown of the best horror available on streaming. I'll have essential weekly movie picks covering new films, classics that you need to catch up on, and a movie that's always streaming for free. So subscribe now, and you can even be part of some frighteningly fun watch parties we're putting together that'll let you be part of the conversation. So click in the link in the show notes or go to screamshare.beehive.com. That's screamshare.beehive.com, and make sure you whitelist your welcome email so you can get updates for all of the news and updates. And now the body count continues. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Dying Time is here. That's right. We're talking about 28 years later, The Bone Temple on Kill by Kill. Well, greetings and salutations, Internet. It's your old pal, Patrick Hamilton, coming to you once again from pastoral England, outside of foggy London town. This is the Kill by Kill podcast, where we're dedicated to celebrating the least discussed component of any horror film, the characters. And so we're going to unpack all the goriest of details of 2026's 28 years later, The Bone Temple, in the hopes that a weird cult member's untimely end is just the beginning of the jokes we might make at their fucking expense, because they deserve it. And of course, there's only one person I trust to make sure that I get through that one-on-one knife fight and become one of the fingers. The one, the only, Gina Radcliffe. How are you doing today, Gina?
I mean, honestly, do you really want to become one of the fingers?
No, I think I would be bad at it, frankly.
You know, for one thing, I mean, you know, I don't think you could pull off a blonde wig.
Oh, well, all right. The earrings are coming off because, hold on, they're hoops. They're big and they are not clip-on.
You got to make sure you have your girl stand behind you to hold on to them for you.
Hold my shoes, please. I can't clip, clop, and throw hands. But yeah, sure. It doesn't work with my coloring.
I can't either. As a pale-skinned, blue-eyed person of Irish ancestry, somehow I am not able to pull off blonde hair. It looks bizarre.
Yeah. At best, I went ginger for a theater role that I did. But I also shaved my head into a Picard for a theater role I did. I did a lot of dedication. Character hair work.
That is dedication.
It is. What people were like, really? I'm like, what is the point of doing this? Like, I know my hair's going to grow back.
Right. I was literally going to say, at the end of the day, it is just hair. It will grow back.
What I found out is like, I could roll with it. It wasn't detrimental to my looks. Like it didn't improve things, but it didn't devastate what I had going on. And also, people could not identify me from my picture out in the lobby compared to the role I was playing. I seamlessly blended in without having to do a lot of complex character work.
God, remember when Sigourney Weaver shaved her head for Alien³ and people just lost their minds over it? And then she did that photo shoot with Helmut Newton, and she has the vinyl cat suit on, and she's literally never looked hotter in her entire life.
The hottest person you've ever fucking seen in your life. Yes, I remember it. I think about it once a month, probably. She's doing interviews for Mandalorian and Grogu. And the first thing I thought it was like, remember that Helmut Newton?
If you ever got a chance to interview her, if we ever got a chance to interview her, we'd be like that Chris Farley thing. Remember when he did that photo shoot with Helmut Newton?
That was great. Super hot.
That was great.
Yeah, that was great. You were great.
Everybody loved that.
Remember when you were in Copycat? What were we talking about again? Oh yeah, 28 years later, the Bone Temple. So here's the deal, kids. I'm not a zombie movie guy much anymore. I've talked about this on the show previously, but if you're new, I had a kid. I have trouble doing apocalypses right now because it just gives me anxiety because I can't control my kid's future any more than I can control my own, but it's existential to that degree. And so I can't say that I rush out and see many zombie movies unless they're like comedies, like Anna and the Apocalypse. Absolutely fucking delightful, just lightweight. That new one's going to show up on Shudder. It'll be old news by the time this comes out. Called This Is Not a Test. I ain't fucking watching that. Not a chance in hell. That's not something I need. So when these two movies were sort of filmed back to back and sent out, I did really enjoy 28 Days Later. I'm not so much a 28 Weeks Later fan. I love that opening sequence, but I'm not sure the whole, despite a stacked cast, it's not for me. In the end, I don't think it's bad. It just didn't spark joy. And when the third one came out, I'm like, do I not? And I just couldn't. It came out while Ollie was in the middle of something, and I didn't see any movies for practically most of July. And so I missed it. And then when they said this was coming out, I'm like, hold on. There's a reason to do this because I am America's #1 Nia DeCosta fan. Right. And so I'm like, I'm going to have to probably fucking get over it. What's your relationship to the 28?
I saw the original. Like you, zombies isn't my particular favorite genre in horror. Yeah. I do appreciate, the occasional unique take on it, like Train to Busan.
Right.
But like, I feel like for the most part, there's not a whole lot you can do with it.
I feel like we've gone through a lot of the variations at this point. You can Return of the Living Dead it. You can 28 Days Later it with Fast. You can comedy it with Sean and Anna and the Apocalypse and whatnot. There are variations on the theme. It's not that you can't do anything with it. But I would also argue that at this point, this more than almost any of the other films is in no way, shape, or form a zombie movie. No. It is pure just apocalypse.
Yeah, it's not even apocalypse, it's aftermath.
Yeah.
It's like, here's what what a handful of survivors has elected to do with what remains of their lives.
Yeah. And allowing that to not end with one scenario. I think they've done interesting things with it. And in the end, for me, while I feel that 28 Years Later is vital to getting more out of this movie, I think you could come into it cold and enjoy it. That being said, I do understand really where Spike is coming from. I feel you do need to have his journey going into this. Otherwise, he's just this weird, frightened kid. You're like, I don't know who the fuck that is.
Right.
It's fine for you to not know who anyone else is because they all explain themselves.
Right. And, there's, I do appreciate, and, this is one of the advantages of doing these movies back to back, is you don't have to waste a lot of time reestablishing who everybody is. And,
right,
because it does ultimately, if you do that, it does ultimately become just kind of spinning your wheels for a little while. Mm-hmm. Like, this is just one of those movies that just, it probably, I won't say it takes place immediately following 28 Years Later. I would say a couple of days, maybe.
In
that, this bizarre, violent, very small cult, has, I mean, if you want to call it, taken in this child. But they're eventually going to initiate him into this murder cult, based around the Teletubbies and a beloved figure of British pop culture who was revealed to be a serial pedophile for the bulk of his career.
Yes, it would be as if society had collapsed before we had all learned that Bill Cosby was not a nice person. And there were a bunch of people in Cosby sweaters doing the dance before they murdered you.
Right, exactly. And I found that a lot of people were upset about the bizarre and uncomfortable references to Jimmy Savile. And it's like, well, yeah, because this exists in an alternate timeline where, I mean, everything went down in like 1998.
Yeah.
Like this wasn't exposed yet. He was still a beloved. I mean, not. He was just like I guess he was a comedian. I'm still not entirely sure.
Well, they have that genre of light entertainer,
right?
Just like they host shows and they do panels and they're
very those types of celebrities are very big in the UK. Yeah. But yeah, that's what he was. And yeah, at that time, he was still like, he was palled around with the royal family. And, I mean, this was him being exposed to pedophile only happened in the past decade or so.
Yes.
It was, rumors for a long time, but, real solid proof is a pretty recent, I mean, he was already dead. But yeah, so I think it's just, how a pretty stark example about how just time stopped. Right. For people. And, in both of these characters, in Sir Jimmy, which is Jack O'Connell, and Dr. Kelson, who is Ralph Fiennes, cling to the nostalgia of both their youth and when the world still existed in both, melancholic and deeply psychopathic ways. And I find that a fascinating take on this genre.
It's very interesting. The pairing of these two movies back to back is interesting when it comes from, there was a lot of conversation about from the Jimmy Savile thing, like, as you mentioned, like people were kind of upset that you even bring it up. I would venture to say that I think it's more apt than people are giving it credit for, in the sense that all of the, young people, and they're all young, that are in the Fingers are traumatized. They're traumatized by how they have grown up in a violent, dangerous world. Their innocence was stripped from them. In particular, Sir Jimmy, who we learn over the course of this, that at the beginning of 28 years later, we see the sequence of the initial outbreak and a vicar being torn apart inside of his church. We learn in this movie that was Sir Jimmy's dad,
right? And the last thing he remembered doing before everything went down was watching the Teletubbies. So he's frozen in time. This traumatic event has frozen him in a specific mindset of nostalgia for something he doesn't even fully understand, and violence. That's what he knows. That is what he is a product of. And that is what he has raised these other traumatized individuals into being his avatars. It's absolutely apt to someone who, I don't know, may have suffered at the hands of someone who's done something terrible to them, whether mere violence or sexual. And part of them freezes in that moment. It's hard for them to get past that moment. This very much dramatizes that type of effect in genre. And I would say that, love it or hate it, I think it is a pretty respectful and introspective viewpoint of what that must feel like for some people. Right. And it doesn't necessarily make Sir Jimmy a sympathetic villain, because he's definitely not that.
No.
It's more that it gives him dimension. Right. He's not a, well, who is he? Well, he's the bad guy.
Yeah. No, it's an explanation of him. It is not an excuse for what he does. It's simply, you understand to a degree why he would be warped by this. Now, why he has chosen this particular path, and that is part of him is gone, Daddy. He's all there.
They're pretty much feral.
Yeah. And as a result, if you're surrounded by insane violence, which is what the infected really have. They are both physically changed, and as we learn over the course of the movie, mentally changed, and frozen in that state. There's nothing they can do internally to do it. And what's crazy in this is that we get a sort of mini "can I cure this" plot line from Dr. Kelson.
Right.
That has to do with if you could see something beyond this is a crazed infected person, if I could get them to just not see things in the exact way they're used to, are they capable of change? I know they're essentially evolved beyond a different branch of humanity at this point, but there is a human being in there. Are they reachable? And he actually finds a way to reach Samson, which is becomes this like huge redemptive arc of like, hey, this was kind of worth it for me to be alive.
Well, yeah, and also what I think is interesting is you have these three, not even counting Alfie the child, you have these three pivotal characters who sort of cling to these what would otherwise be mundane memories.
Yeah.
As variations on clinging to their humanity. You have Sir Jimmy, basing part of his cult around the Teletubbies, but turning it into a grotesquerie in which they do a little dance, the little Teletubby dance, before they horrifically slaughter someone. And it's like, is that mocking their victims, or is this just part of a ritual they do? And it's really not clear. Yeah. And then you have, Samson, who, kind of starts, almost like a light, flickering back on. His first memory is like a train ride. Yeah. Now, granted, it appears to be a train ride that happened right before shit went down.
Yeah.
But it would be an otherwise mundane memory. Here, and with Dr. Kelson, we discovered that he had a wife at one point. And he clings to music from his younger days. Like he just recalls little snippets of songs that he probably hasn't actually heard in over 30 years. Like the one scene, I'm like he's singing to himself, and I'm like, is this him singing Rio?
But he's been in isolation for so long that this is like he is his own radio to a degree when he's out and about.
Right.
Like there's. He also reveals at one point that he's gone beyond the point of fearing death. Like he's seen so much of it. He knows that something will happen eventually, but he's gone beyond the point of like, am I going to die tomorrow? Am I going to die today? Am I going to die next week? He's like, it's going to happen. But also the severity of the infected within the island, while still highly dangerous, is not as, because they cluster together, they're not just out, wandering alone. They have cloistered themselves to a degree. So if you can avoid the packs, you can kind of get stuff done. People, right. And that's a big part of the first one, which I think sets up the idea that there are a couple different ways you can deal with traumatic events that you cannot change. You can either regress into a familiar, whether that is making a small island nation that goes out hunting and has very specific rules about what you do, whom you do it with, and how you proceed, including I have to take out my very young tween son to kill his first infected person so he can get over it and just become a productive member of our tiny society. And then you have the Jimmies. They also have cloistered themselves into a made up society that is as rules determined as the island group was. Kelson's the freest thinker of anyone we meet over the course of these two movies.
Right, because he only has to look after himself.
Yeah.
He has essentially lost everything. we don't know. It's unclear if his wife was killed, the first initial way. For all we know, she might have died before that, or she might have died of natural causes. It's left unsaid. It doesn't really matter.
It doesn't much matter at this moment in his life.
Right. Yeah. But he had a life before all this. And now he doesn't, and he's just sort of reticent about it. It's like, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing until it's my time.
What would you do if your online store converted 36% more shoppers? You could take 36% more vacation.
Another pina colada? Yes, please.
Open a new retail location with 36% more square feet.
Fantastic.
Hire 36% more help.
You're hired and you're hired.
Shopify has the world's best converting checkout, up to 36% better than other e-commerce platforms. What you do with those extra sales is up to you. Switch to Shopify today at shopify.com/listen and get a $1 trial. Shopify.com/listen.
So why didn't you just rent a truck and move yourself?
Once was enough. Smashed dishes, sore neck, family drama.
So moving yourself's not as easy as it looks?
That's why we used Mayflower. They packed, loaded, timed everything. No chaos, no chiropractor.
But isn't a mover more expensive?
Not really. After the truck rental, gas, time off, and broken stuff. Plus, I actually slept.
Okay, I get it.
Do yourself a favor. Move with Mayflower and relax. Moving? Go with the pros every step of the way. Get a free quote at mayflower.com.
But his flexibility in his thinking, the thing that very few people seem to have retained in this post-apocalyptic Britain, is the thing that makes him the most valuable person you meet. He's able to, because Samson has sort of touched a calm, and this is the first time I think we see through the eyes of an infected person of what they see when they see someone who isn't, which is this ghoulish nightmare demon. We have to kill this. It's a ghoulish nightmare demon. And you're like, oh, well, this is an explanation. We finally kind of get behind that veil. Because he's been able to get through to Samson to a degree, he's touched a piece of his humanity, and now he's coming back like, I want to experience that again. That is something different, and now Kelson gets to experience something different, which is helping somebody again. After the events of the last movie, was like, well, that's cancer, and I don't have any ability to help them, but at least you know what it is. And he gets to be a doctor again. And it's a very rewarding, emotional movie that also contains vile, horrific torture scenes.
Yeah, that scene in the barn is rough.
It really does, I think, reveal something about humanity that might be lacking in a ton of zombie-esque horror. I mean, I think a lot of movies are going for this now. I just think, to me, this is the one that's done it most effectively, that I found most humanistic and joyful and disappointing in people's actions and whatnot. I found it very revealing over the course of its near 2 hours.
Yes.
I think it helps that you get to have a bit of that Danny Boyle music thing that he does so well, that kind of has been missing to a certain degree in some of these. I mean, not so much in the first and second one. The third one, you have a really interesting soundtrack, but you do have an expectation in a Danny Boyle movie of him to find music that just cuts to the core of you. And you're like, yes. And there's a couple needle drops here. You're like, damn, that's just kind of perfect. That's to make Duran Duran, even late stage Duran Duran, be interesting and emotional. I thought that's pretty profound. Yeah, no, and it was just, it was such a bizarrely and wonderfully lighthearted moment. Mm-hmm. There is still joy to be found, because, if there's one thing that could be said about this entire series, none of the movies are fun. They're I don't want to say cynical, but they're pragmatic, they're bleak. There's the only way you're going to get through this, you got to look out for yourself before anybody else.
It does not pay to form emotional bonds with people because something terrible is usually going to pull it apart.
Yeah.
Perhaps literally. But this shows that there is still there is still joy to be found.
Yeah.
There is still connection is still possible.
I think the point of many zombie movies is to truly examine the human condition by transforming half of us into inhuman, right? And so I think in this movie in particular, the onus of that is lifted off of the infected and placed on the Jimmy and the fingers as, if we can breed this. We have bred this. We live, unfortunately, amongst this here. They communicate on Twitter all the time. That's the place to go for that. And congrats. What a gift the world has given us to allow such great thinkers free reign on the social media platform. It's
done nothing but improve the state of the world in every possible way.
Just a high key boon for all of us. And as a result, I think people, it's meant to be uncomfortable. It's meant to be a very dark mirror of our lives. If not in, a direct, this is our reality sense. We're not quarantined amongst infected, but we are stuck on this rock with a lot of dead enders. And I think the dead endery thing is what I dislike most. On top of the racism, sexism, misogyny, bigotry, it really fucking sucks. But there does seem to be a growing sense of dead enderism of why does it matter? And I'm like, well, I hate to say this. As things get worse, it apparently matters more and more. It really, really does. As we keep ourselves warm, huddling up against the data centers, our only heat source.
I laugh to keep from laying down on a highway in the middle of the highway.
I really, it feels the same. And things are tougher. That being said, every day I'm reminded how much our humanity can shine through. You don't have to go far to see people who are caring for one another, who are championing things that are right, who are looking out for those who cannot speak up for themselves, who are organizing others around them in their communities to try to improve the world around us. It's not rare. It's just harder to engage in. And I unfortunately think there are a lot of people who are much more comfortable not engaging with it at all and just dipping into, well, it's all coming apart. What's the fucking point?
Well, yeah, and I think that one of the reasons why I have been taking an extended break from social media is I do think that there are way too many people in the world whose mindset is I feel terrible about the state of the world, and it has become the utmost importance to me that everybody else feels terrible as I do.
Right. Yeah.
And it's like, number one, you can't tell from how somebody appears online what how they do or don't feel about current events and the state of the world. And nobody needs you to bring them down. And I think that because if people are staying reserved and keeping things to themselves, it is probably to protect their own peace.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it is borderline offensive at this point how much, it's incumbent on people to, well, I don't think you realize how bad things are. And it's like, no, I do. I'm aware of this. It's just, I don't spend a lot of time openly railing at the heavens about it because it is not good for my mental health.
Yeah.
And if that makes me self-centered or self-absorbed or whatever you want to call it, well, I'm sorry for that. But, I have to be realistic too, because I am not going to be of any help to my fellow man if I'm either, in a hospital drugged up the eyeballs or dead. So, I have to be realistic about it.
Mm-hmm. I wholeheartedly, I'm behind you 100%. Like I second that emotion. It's, I guess, ultimately, part of why we decided to do the show is that this is meant to be a respite, temporary, or just allow us to think about it in a way that doesn't make us weep.
Well, yeah. And again, talking about it with you, you're a smart, reasonable-minded person.
Oh, I disagree there, but go on.
You're very insightful. And, talking about it, rather, with someone who isn't screaming or, running around, talking about how the sky is falling is very helpful for my own emotional well-being. And yeah, watching these movies and talking about it is, one of the things that keeps me grounded and thinks, however long this is going to last, I'm going to be able to get through it.
Yeah. It is a good thing to have our own islands, as it were, of respite. I think the danger comes when we never extend ourselves out of it. And I think there are safe ways to do it rather than simply exposing yourself to stuff that you don't want to confront on a daily basis. And allowing yourself to still be involved without overexposed, aware without knowing too much.
Right.
Because I think the knowing too much thing has its own danger as well. You get a little too internet brained.
Yeah, you can't.
Knowing everything.
You can't marinate yourself in it. I mean, I realize people think that they're, they need to stay informed, at all times. But for one thing, no, you don't, because 75% of it, there's not much you can do about it. And also, there's a very good chance the information you're getting is not accurate.
Yeah.
Especially if you're relying predominantly on social media for it. I would say there's a 95% chance at that point that it's skewed in a way that, makes it not entirely accurate or just outright made up completely.
Yes. We're going to, it's going to be interesting to confront this heading into November later this year. I mean, we're getting individual previews of this. You had a mayoral thing that already happened last year. I'm in Long Beach, so I'm in LA County. So I have my own mayor. So I don't vote for LA's mayor or any of the city council.
Thank God for that.
Well, it's not that there aren't decent choices. I think it is tough, in particular, for LA mayors, because they're not strong mayors, they're weak mayors. They're administrators, and the strong seats of power are actually the city council. And there are city council people who are responsible for more people than some senators in Congress here in the city of Los Angeles. So it's a lot to take on. I think while I've been disappointed in LA City's mayor the past few years, I don't think she's held up her end of the bargain to many degrees. I'm certainly not going to run off and point at a guy who in 2012 spent all his money because he was convinced the Mayan calendar was going to bring about the apocalypse. That's not the kind of forward-thinking planner I'm voting into office.
And yet those are the only kind of people running for office now.
yes, you have weird dead-ender grifters who have seen the grift work, right? It is proven to, you can up your standing. All of a sudden you have an audience of the dumbest fucking people, some of whom are willing to spend money for you to extend your stupidity. But you also like Nithya Raman, who is the DSA candidate. Now, I'll grant you, Karen Bass was the DSA candidate the previous time.
Yeah.
It's been known to, the mayorship has been known to corrupt some people. I think it's a difficult spot to put in. You're often saying yes to things you don't want to because you don't have the power to say no. It is very weird, but we're not having genuine conversations about how governments work, and they're all sort of different. To that degree, we have the governor's race, which is you have a group of people that at one point I may have held good opinions about. And then like once in a while, just all of a sudden you'll one turned out to be just a sex pest. Katie Porter, who got absolutely burned in the Senate race here, has allowed that to really make her the worst version of herself. And now she's just spiteful, which I think is very unfortunate. She was a very good congressperson, but boy, I have a whole low opinion of her now in terms of her response to not being the front runner here again. I voted for her to go to Senate, but she doesn't want to listen to me. And you have one guy who's been in government for a long time and has shown to stand up for people's rights and has long-standing good opinions. And people are like, maybe you should vote for that billionaire who's got 2 good ideas that he can't implement.
But maybe he will.
I like those ideas, but that motherfucker does shit when it comes to trying to forward those ideas when he's not running for government. That tells me everything. If you're just some sort of chaos demon who only erupts when elections happen, that's a fucking warning sign. If you can't read that, I don't know what to tell you. It's not just that weirdo from the Green Party. They come in all shapes and stripes. I'm just going to vote for that weird Riverside sheriff who should be in jail. I've already voted. What were we talking about again? Oh, yeah, 28 years later, the Bone Temple. How many Bone Temples do you think you could assemble? Because I have a feeling that I would fail at the first pillar.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm only 5'3". I'm going to need some help. It's not going to be a very a very imposing Bone Temple. Maybe a bone
it's a low-lying bone altar. It's a series of altars is what you
I might have to build horizontally rather than up, like a bone credenza maybe.
I don't think I remembered from the first one, or it's information I didn't retain, that he's essentially wrapping bones around trees. He's not creating columns. And for some reason, when I watched the first movie, I'm like, he's creating columns. Not how the fuck he doesn't have a fucking cement mixer truck. How is he doing that? No, he's wrapping them with fucking ropes, which also would mean that I would have to up my knot game, which is weird for a guy who canonically is an Eagle Scout.
You mean it's not like riding a bicycle?
It weirdly is not like riding a bicycle. I don't know that I retain a ton of my knot making prowess. And that's weird because I had to do a lot of it. And then I learned to sail, and then I taught sailing. So I knew a bunch of sailing knots once upon a time. For a while, TikTok served me up a lot of people who tie knots. And then I thought, am I kind of training myself to be some sort of weird serial killer here? I can't. Yes, it's relaxing, but also, what does that say about me? I'm not saying knowing knots is inherently a bad thing, but I did begin to wonder if Becky looked at my For You page and was just dudes and ladies tying knots, what she would think about what I do late at night when I wake up at 2:00 in the morning and head to pee and I have to coast back into sleep.
Well, I mean, the real alarm bells need to be rung if you got like tying knots, that you have like, extra large coolers and then maybe some lime.
Yeah. I have to bring my tools. I need my tools.
I like binding and being bound.
Restriction makes me feel close. I was somewhat jealous. I mean, we did. Ollie was very much benefited from being a burrito baby, where you'd wrap them so tight because he hated how his arms and legs moved.
Yeah,
they're new. They were tightly packed inside the womb, so when they're out and all wiggly, it sucks. Like, what the fuck do I do with these things?
What are these?
I'm supposed to be curled up. And so we would burrito him I got very, very good at it. And then, after the first so many months, like, you don't have to do that anymore. And I was called upon to do it again. And I'm like, hold on, I got to YouTube some shit, because it had just a thing that I had done thousands of times, but obviously did not do for years and years and years. It was just a very compact series of months that I had to do it. And it's just flown out of my fucking head. So I imagine I would not be the best at rope tying right now.
Well, you know what? If you are, existing in a, what's left of a, post-zombie apocalypse era, you'll certainly have lots of free time on your hands.
No, I won't. I will have my skull ripped out of my fucking body. I can tell you as someone.
Oh yeah, I'm going in that first wave. I know that for a fact, because I am not a fast runner. I'm going to get like trampled by other human beings.
It's probably the way to go, quite frankly. Just tear me apart. I'm fine with it. I don't want to be hanging around. I just hope I'm good eating. That's all. I mean, imagine, I'm annoying now when it comes to, I hear in the distance, Jason Voorhees, and I just literally jump through doors and through windows. Like, does somebody say something about Jason Voorhees? No, I got some information about him.
Yeah, that'll be your, instead of, walking around tending to your little, solo farm,
right?
Singing, Rio to yourself. You're just like saying, facts about Friday the 13th out loud to nobody.
Here's the thing about 3D. The reason it's so brightly lit is because they're throwing light into two cameras. They needed it to be that bright in order for the film to be exposed. I mean, when you think about it, it just makes sense. And then like, can we lock him outside? What the fuck is he talking about?
When you're rehabbing a zombie, you're sitting there, he's just kind of blankly staring at you while you're saying, during the scene in which in which Jason pushes an arrow through Kevin Bacon's throat, that's actually a man's hand coming up and holding on to his forehead. He just kind of like, but then, after you've been, stabbed by the murder cult, and you're slowly but peacefully waiting to meet your maker, the zombie will come up to you with that blank look has been changed to one of gratitude, and he's down and says, Kevin Bacon. And you just smile and go to sleep forever. My work here is done. Good night.
My work here is done. You're absolutely right.
You wouldn't head into a new season with gear you don't trust, so why should your body be any different? What you put in your body matters as much as what you put on it. At Azure Well, we make foundational nature-based supplements, and every formula is lab tested. No hype, no shortcuts, just results. Take a look at what's in your cabinet, then visit azurelivingwell.com to shop. That is AZURE livingwell.com. These products have not been evaluated by the FDA and are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
I enjoyed a lot about this motion picture.
It went in so many directions that I did not see coming. Like, I knew this was, I went out of my way to because, Kidney, I did not see this in the theater. I planned to, but I was not able to.
Think of it. Like,
that was
literally called the weekend.
Yes, right after. Yeah. So I was like, well, that's not happening. Yeah. So I eagerly waited for it to appear on streaming. Now I knew that there was quote unquote a musical number.
I can't believe we've gone this long and really haven't talked about this music.
And I was absolutely went out of my way to not spoil myself on what this so-called musical number entailed.
Yeah.
And that was not what I was expecting. And I cackled with glee. I loved it. I every minute I'm like, yes, this is incredible. We need just more out-of-pocket moments in horror movies like this.
This is the stuff. This is the juice. I think it would be very hard for me. I understand people not walking out of this movie like walking on air, right? It's not necessarily that kind of movie. But I also feel like you are getting your money's worth here. What's being put on display is well thought. It's well scripted. It's well plotted. And that sequence with Kelson, putting on a show to Number of the Beast by Iron Maiden, a band every long-term people know, the real heads know, not a heavy metal guy. But if it was presented to me like this, perhaps I would be. This demonstrates that there's a reason for that art to be created so that one day it might be transformed into this sequence. Because in a lesser film, this would elevate it to, well, it might not be good, but it might be great. That's a great sequence. It doesn't matter what you put it in. It's still going to be great. It's even better because of everything that builds up to it. So the fact that they're able to build towards it and pay it off to that degree when many of these films feel rote, like, oh, you're down to your last few. The formula. And this film just abandons that formula entirely. I think that freedom allows a sense of wonder and giving you things you don't expect. That's really pretty profound. And this is the sequence that makes me feel like I can walk on air after I watch it.
Yeah. It almost makes you weirdly hopeful. Like, as bleak as everything is, we can still laugh and laugh with joy, not with malice or, not, because, if I got to laugh or I'm going to scream, but with genuine joy. This scene filled me with joy.
Yeah.
And that was not an emotion I was expecting from a 28 years later movie.
And I also, there's something about obviously I'm a little bit in the bullpen for Jack O'Connell post Sinners. Like anyone coming out of Sinners, like they've got a fan in me, right? But to have two roles in a row where essentially he's leading a cabal that based on his own actions, he fucking undoes, but is able to do it in two entirely different ways. That Sir Jimmy hoists himself on his own petard here. He has reached too far. He cannot control this group if he starts to have semi-independent thinkers. And Aaron Kellerman really puts him in a fucking corner here, which is you talk to old Nick, you talk to Satan. I saw Satan, a guy, red, communing with the demons that you tell us all about, living in a fucking bone temple. Why don't we go down there and ask him what he wants to do with this new kid situation? He's full of ideas. And he's like, oh, this is real. That place is real. I have to come up with an actual solution here. And he is flummoxed when it comes to being a thinker.
Yeah.
He does not wear it well. And he gets outmaneuvered so well by Kelson here. You have the joy of that Iron Maiden sequence. And then the fact that Kelson's like, okay, I'm just like Jesus. I'm sacrificing my only son. Let's crucify this guy. He's confronted with like, well, I could tell he's not really Satan, and I've been lying to you this entire time. Or Satan, the liar, is lying to, oh, fuck.
And I painted myself into a corner.
He paints himself into a very specific corner. And yes, Kelson does not really watch his six very well, but it's kind of worth it. Kelson got everything he wanted out of this experience. He got to help an infected person reach a level of humanity they hadn't touched before. He frees Spike and Jimmy Inc. from the thrall of Sir Jimmy. And Sir Jimmy gets what's coming to him in such a well-deserved, truly cathartic manner. It is very satisfying.
It is. And, the best kind of, outs for villains are pathetic outs where they're crying and they're begging and, more or less seen the error of their way. I'm not entirely sure he has, but also I think he's so around the bend that it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
But like I said, I don't consider him a sympathetic villain, but I consider him, one with a lot of interesting dimension because he's also essentially, a child. He is a bully. And, they have, all these terrible things they do to people, it's all framed as a game. Mm-hmm. It's like, well, here's a game. We're going to make you, fight one of the fingers. And if you win, you'll get to be a finger. Everything is just, it's very almost childlike. And everything is, well, I'm the leader of this gang. You have to do what I say. And I think that's, again, in comparing it to current events, it's very, that you have a lot of childlike bullies, who never really grew up or, because who never had to for one reason or another, now they're the ones making life real difficult for everyone.
Yeah. And I think we sadly had lied to ourselves over the long haul. There were enough barriers to such childlike bullies that they simply wouldn't be able to reach the full levers of power and make the dumbest possible fucking decisions because the system simply wouldn't tolerate it. It would reject them out of hand. And we simply did not have the scope of imagination to believe that, unfortunately, it happens more often than we would like to think.
Yeah.
Anything else from great performances out of the I don't think there's a bad performance at all. Everyone feels of this world. There's outside of like Ralph Fiennes, and I know Aaron Kellyman from like Marvel shit, but I hadn't seen the vast majority of this cast outside of 28 years later.
Yeah, so. I mean, like all the 28 movies, exceedingly British or Irish.
Yeah.
No, I loved it. I think it is so far. I haven't seen too many, not as many as I would like, but so far, I think it's my favorite horror movie of 2026. Mm-hmm. I think it's just so. I wish, and I don't want to say why this is not so, but I have a pretty good idea. I wish that horror fans would give Nia DeCosta more of a chance than they're giving her, because I think she's got a really great and interesting eye.
Yes.
I like what she did with Candyman. I still think about that one death where the character's dragged across the window in the high rise.
Yes.
And I think that is done so well. I don't know if you saw last year's Hedda with Tessa Thompson.
I got up to it on Amazon.
Yeah, that was beautifully done. Not a horror movie, but still
a wonderful drama,
very much a mood piece that was it was anachronistically ended on Love is the Drug, which I fucking loved. I practically applauded. Any movie that uses Love is the Drug on the soundtrack is automatically a 4-star movie, but I still liked it on its own merits too.
But gorgeously appointed, an incredible eye.
Yeah, I mean, she just has a real interesting eye for things. And
I will go to the grave saying the Marvels is fucking fun. Like I don't think she should be held accountable for 3 things. That is Candyman being released post-pandemic in a very uncertain theatrical environment. It's just insane. It's a very good movie. The Marvels introduced in the middle of a strike when none of the stars could actually fucking hype the movie. It's ridiculous. No other Marvel movie has ever had to confront that, and there's a reason why it didn't do as well. Not to mention the Chud Army was in full fucking effect, and I don't think Disney as a company, unfortunately, knows how to confront this. They have simply allowed this group to shout down this and hoping they can simply win them over on the merits. I think you got to fucking stop doing that.
And you never do. You
never ever do. They don't care about reality.
These people are never happy. They're never satisfied. The happiest they are is when they can be bitching about something.
They only gain happiness in two ways: the financial support they get from amassing the Chud Army and being part of the Chud Army. There is no satisfaction beyond that. They do not enjoy art. They do not enjoy the process. They don't like what they supposedly claim to love. They simply enjoy shouting something down because they've found a reason. And if you think you've reason-proofed whatever it is not. Their God made one of the most beautiful women in the world play a role that is meant to be the most beautiful human being in the world. And they're like, but she's black. And like, she cracked out of an egg, motherfucker. It doesn't matter. Look at her. She's fucking gorgeous. This is one of the, like, you can't, I'm sorry. I don't care what your tastes are. She's aesthetically one of the most beautiful women to have ever existed and be photographed. The last person who was as attractive as her ended up the Queen of Monaco.
I mean, what are you going to do? Fucking cast Sydney Sweeney as her? I mean, what the fuck do you people want?
I don't, but they don't even want her. They don't want anyone. Want is beyond them. What they want is the community of hate. And they get it. And you just have to like, fuck, you really have to actively knock this shit back. You cannot passively wait for it to go over. You can't, it's not like, I think they somewhat worry that it's going to be a please don't put in the newspaper that I got mad situation. It isn't. You're knocking down dumb shit. Dummies, bullies get knocked in the teeth. Otherwise, they don't fucking stop. Anyways, what the fuck were we talking about again? Oh, anyways. Yes, I think she's gotten a raw fucking deal because she's a really, really good director. And Hedda kind of got nerfed for whatever reason. And I don't know that this coming exactly 6 months after 28 years later was the right move. I don't know what the right move was, but combine the two movies, for whatever reason, they're listed as each costing $60 million, which cannot fucking be true. Because you're using these same fucking locations. There's not... You're not, that's insane. You had to build all this shit. You didn't have to build it again. They didn't build multiple bone temples. They just got the one. So there's no way both movies cost the same amount of money. I think that's asinine. Both movies made money, and eventually they'll make a third one because now they have Cillian Murphy at the end of this, who's like sees a bat signal and like, oh. Time to do a 28.
And seems to be the only character so far who hasn't completely lost his mind in one way or the other.
Right. Yeah, one wonders how that is true, but yeah, maybe the pastoral life is for him.
I mean, he appears to have created a little life. He's got a daughter, and I assume the daughter's mother is Naomi.
Naomi Harris.
Yeah, I'm assuming.
Yes.
I mean, presumably something happened to her over the course of time, but I imagine we'll find that out.
We'll find that out eventually because both movies made enough internationally to justify their existence, and someone's going to give him money to do this because it makes money internationally. It just, I don't know that any of the movies have just made bank, 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 and they were out of circulation for so long. That's the other thing that I don't think people are accounting for here is, while culturally there's a lot of like 28 Days Later fast zombie awareness, you couldn't watch these movies for like a decade. because they were simply out of circulation due to rights issues. And as a result, like, I don't think they were set up to I don't think it's a marketing problem. I think it's an awareness I don't think they mean as much to Americans as they do internationally.
Right.
I won't say it makes sense. I'll only say that I understand it.
Yeah, it just is.
Yeah. But before we go, of course, it is time for us to choose our 28 stabbings later, where we decide of the many stabbings in this motion picture. If you were to be stabbed in one way, which one would it be and why? There's very few non-stabbing deaths here. There's stabbed in the femoral artery and bleed out. The big non-stabbing is have your skull pulled out of your body via your eyeballs.
Sure.
Like you're moving, you've picked a bowling ball and you're like, I'll use this one. Yoink. Neck slashed, tortured and skinned alive, impaled in the back of the head by a wenching hook. You can be burned to death by makeshift gas canister flamethrower. And then it's just stabbing, bleed to death, stabbed in the chest, stabbed in the back, fatally stabbed and bleed out, and crucified on an inverted cross. And then right before you go, ravaged by the infected. Gina, what say you?
Oh man, I mean, none of these are good. I don't want any of that barn shit. That was just gnarly. No, I mean, I guess stab in the femoral artery and bleed to death.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, although I do like, Kelson getting the last laugh before he dies. That's not too shabby. Yeah. I hope I can brilliantly pull something over on someone before I die.
I do enjoy putting on a show.
Yes.
Yeah. It's probably the way I go. Gina, where can people find you on these here internets?
I write about pop culture on my newsletter, GinaWatchesThings.ghost.io, and I am mostly on Instagram these days under Gina Does Things.
Do it today, people. Check it out. Josh Halls does our artwork. Go to RevengeBodyMemphis at Bandcamp.com for this theme and all the premixes. Go to ScreamShare.beehive.com. That's BEEHIIV.com to get 3 new horror recommendations in your inbox every single week so that decision paralysis demon is kept at bay for what you want to watch horror-wise. Of course, you can go to our t-shirt shop, links in the bio. Visit us on social medias with the exception of Twitter. Fuck that place. And of course, you can join us on Patreon for plenty of bonus material where we do bonus episodes, chat by chat, and movie commentaries for your pleasure. That just about does it, folks. But don't worry, the body count will continue for myself and Gina. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
They're all gonna laugh at you.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.